Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum students. I hope everything is fine with all of you. Here I am Dr. Fazia C, Teaching Associate from Department of Botany, University of Karachi. Students, I know you are waiting for my today lecture that is about illustrated glossary of taxonomic terms. Actually, the taxonomic studies requires a perfect knowledge of technical terms for the description and identification of the plant. So here in this lecture, I am going to explain how to describe angiosperm families. So let's start our today lecture. When you want to observe any plant, you will notice their morphological features. At first you will notice habit of the plant. Actually, habit is the general or the external appearance of a plant. It may be herbs, shrubs, undershrubs, or the trees. So let's start all of these in detail. In our language, the word herb is used for jadi butiyan. Actually, the herbs are those plants which are considered as the small-sized, delicate, and non-woody plants. So these plants have no persistent parts above the ground. For example, Chenopodium, ranunculus, and fumaria. Here are some common examples of herbs: basil, oregano, fenugreek, rosemary, mint, thyme, parsley, bay leaves, etc. These are the common plants which are usually used in our different dishes. The type of herbs are: number one, annual. So the annual herbs are those plants which complete their life cycle in 1 year or season. For example, Chenopodium from Chenopodiaceae family, Brassica from Brassicaceae family. So the annual plants are the plants which complete their life cycle in a single season, that is from seed to germination and reproduction and death. The second type of herbs are the plants which are called biennial. So the biennial are those type of herbs which complete their life cycle in 2 seasons. For example, Raphanus sativus, that is radish. These are the clambers. Clambers means a plant with weak stem which climbs by taking support of neighboring objects. So a clamber may be a stem clamber or the twiners. Is in stem clamber they can be twiner. Twiner means climbing by twining around its supports. For example, Ipomia. And the tendril clambers. Tendril clambers are the type of stem clambers. This is climbing by formation of special wire-like structures twining around the seek support. A tendril may be formed by the leaf, for example, Lathyrus, and the stem apex or the axillary branches, for example, in Vitis. The second type of habit is shrub. The plants which are called shrub are medium-sized and these are woody plants, and the branches arises from the base of the plants and do not have a main trunk. Usually they are short woody plants and less than 30 feet height. The side shoots are well developed and there is no trunk as like as other tree. So, for example, lantana, uh, abutilon, hibiscus sinensis, rose, etc. The third type of habit is tree. Tree are the large-sized plants, and these are tall, woody, perennial plant with a well-marked trunk. So, distinguish into a crown and a main trunk. So, tree is a perennial woody plant with a single trunk. For example, Melia from Meliaceae family, Mangifera, Tectona, etc. Shrubs usually and trees are always perennials. What is mean by perennials? Perennials are those plants which grow for many years. So the plant that continues its growth from year to year is called perennial plants. After habit of the plants, now come to discuss the vegetative characters of the plants, in which we will discuss about roots, stem and leaves. Actually, vegetative characters are those characters which deals with the vegetative parts of the plants. The vegetative parts mean the parts which do not take part in the process of reproduction. The part which take part in the process of reproduction is flower. So flower is the reproductive part of the plant, while the root, stem and leaves are not the reproductive part of the plant. These are the vegetative parts of the plant. So come to discuss the characters or the botanical terminologies related to the root, stem and leaves. Normally, the aerial part of axis of vascular plants is called stem, and it bears leaves, buds at different positions and reproductive structure, for example, flowers as well. Stem can be erect or prostrate. Erect means rigid, strong and upright stem like this, while prostrate means trailing stem lying flat on the ground like in Portulaca. Students, now come to discuss the very important and the essential part of the plant, that is leaf. Leaf is actually a flattened green outgrowth arising from the stem of a vascular plant. Vascular plant means angiosperm and the gymnosperm, also the pteridophytes. As the primary site of photosynthesis, leaves manufacture food for the plants, which in turn ultimately nourish and sustain all land animals. Botanically, leaves are an integral part of the stem system, and it is the photosynthetic part of the plant. It contains green color due to the presence of chlorophyll pigment. So leaf is generally an expanded and flattened green structure growing out at the node of the stem. Usually leaf is divided into three parts, that is leaf blade. Leaf blade is also called lamina of the leaf, petiole and the stipules. Leaf blade or the lamina is a thin flattened green structure, and while the leaf stalk is a cylindrical or flattened narrow structure which supports and holds the blade upright, and it provides maximum exposure of the blade to the sunlight. Stipule is a pair of appendages or outgrowth present at the base of some dicotyledonous leaves. With stipule, leaf is called stipulate, and without stipules, leaf is called exstipulate. And having petiole, leaf is called petiolate, and without petiole, the leaf is called sessile leaves. Now come to discuss the type of leaves, simple leaves and the compound leaves. Simple leaves are the types of leaves which have a single leaf blade or a lamina. While the compound leaves are the type of leaves which are further divided into many leaflets. Because of very deep incision, the stem on which they are arranged in term on rachis. In simple leaves, leaves are joined by the petiole or its stem. While in case of compound leaf, the stem on which they are arranged is called or is termed as rachis. It is in fact a modified midvein, and broadly speaking, compound leaves are classified into two types: pinnately compound leaves and the palmately compound leaves. Simple leaves are not further subdivided into types. The margin of the leaves may be rolled, smooth, or parted. The leaves are arranged in a fashion of erectopetial succession, and this example can be given as sweet, gum, mangoes, etc. While compound leaves are of different types. Leaf with undivided lamina is known as simple leaf, and that with divided lamina is known as compound leaf. The compound leaves are broadly divided into two types: pinnately compound leaves and the palmately compound leaves. Pinnately compound leaves, that is, leaflet present along an elongated axis or rachis. Rachis means, in fact, the midrib of the pinnate leaf forms the rachis in compound leaf. While the palmately compound leaves means, it is also called the digitately compound leaves, all the leaflets emerging from same points. Palmately compound leaf is named according to the number of leaflets. Like the three leaflets are present, thus the palmately compound leaves are palmately trifoliate. But when the four leaflets are joined with the same point, called palmately pentafoliate leaves. Pinnately compound leaves are further differentiated into peripinnate and the imperipinnate leaves. Peripinnate means when the leaflets is in even number, that is, all leaflets paired, is called peripinnate leaves, while when the leaflets are unpaired, this is the peripinnately compound leaves, while the leaflets in odd number, that is, the terminal leaflet remains unpaired, is called the imperipinnate leaf. According to the degree of division, the pinnately compound leaves are differentiated into unipinnate, bipinnate, and the tripinnate leaf. Unipinnate means leaflets attached along rachis, and bipinnate means leaflets attached on secondary axis arising from the rachis, and tripinnate when the leaflets are attached along tertiary axis arising from the secondary axis. So sometimes a branch with simple leaves could be mistaken for a pinnately compound leaf and vice versa. However, both could be differentiated from each other by, number one, the presence of apical bud in case of branch, while there is no apical bud at the tip of a compound leaf. A branch has axillary buds in the leaf axil, and while there are no axillary buds in the axils of the leaflets. And in a branch, the leaves in the apical portions are very small as compared to lower leaves, and while in case of a compound leaf, all leaflets are joined with the same rachis. So all the leaflets have similar size or maybe slightly unequal, while in case of branches, all the leaves are not equal sized. We have discussed in last slides, leaves with petiole is called petiolate, and leaf with no petiole called sessile, like this. Leaves is directly attached with the stem, and leaf is attached with the help of a stalk with the stem is called petiolate. In this picture, you can observe simple and compound leaves. Simple leaves and the compound leaves. Compound leaves are of two types: pinnately compound leaves and the palmately compound leaves. Here, I also want to mention this is a simple leaf with a margin insertion. This is not a leaflets. This is a insertion in the margin. The lamina is not divided into clearly leaflets. Leaflets can be equal sized, while here you can observe the insertion is not equally divided. And in the below picture you can observe the different type of leaves with different type of ribs. There may be only one rib called midrib, right, and running in the middle of the lamina, and each leaf is called pinnate leaves. There could be more than one rib in certain leaves. Such leaf is called palmate leaves. This is the pinnate leaves, and this is called the reticulate leaves, in which the veins are net-like veins are present, and when the veins arises at the base of lamina and at the tip of petiole from the same point, arises from the same point, the venation is called palmate leaf venation. This is the three main veins, and this is the parallel venation found in monocotyledon. In this picture, you can again observe the compound leaves or the pinnately compound leaf types, unipinnate and the bipinnate. In this picture, unipinnate leaves with even pinnate means they are peripinnately compound leaves, while this is the imperipinnate compound leaves, and these are the unipinnately compound leaves, and these are the bipinnately compound leaves found in Albizia, acacia, and jacaranda, and in Robinia, and in Ceratonia. Unipinnately compound leaves are present. In this picture, you can observe phyllotaxy. What is mean by phyllotaxy? Actually, the term phyllotaxy is used for the arrangement of leaves on main stem. How leaves are arranged on stem? How leaves are arranged on, or the leaves in what manner arranged on the stem? The term applies for this is called phyllotaxy. According to the arrangement of leaves, there are three types of arrangement of leaves on a stem: opposite, alternate, and the word. Alternate leaves means one leaf per node. Node is the point from where the leaf arises. So one leaf per node is called the alternate leaf, and here you can observe the alternate leaf. While two leaves per node facing each other is called the opposite leaves. This can be decussate and this can be superposed. Decussate means each pair of leaves forming right angles with the other pair. Like this. Each pair of leaves forming right angle with the other pair. Both the pairs are arranged are opposite but arranged in different angles. While in superposed opposite leaves, all the pairs of leaves vertically coinciding with each other. While in case of whorled leaves, more than 2 leaves per node. So, alternate leaves are the leaves in which 2 leaves are 1 leaves per node, and in opposite leaves 2 leaves per node, in which 2 types of opposite leaves decussate and the superposed. Each pair of leaves forming right angle with the other pair, thus vertically 4 rows of leaves around the stem is called the decussate opposite, while in superposed, all pairs of leaves vertically coincide with each other, and thus 2 rows of leaves around the stem is called the superposed. And whorled means like this. Whorled means more than 2 leaves per node. Here you can see the more than 1 leaves per nodes. Venation. Parallel venation and reticulate venation we have discussed. Here we will discuss again. Parallel venation means all the midrib is not clearly observed and all the veins are perpendicular and parallel to each other. While in pinnately reticulate leaves, midrib is prominent, which is thick, and all other veins are present as the network system. And in palmately reticulate system, all the veins or all the midribs arises from the same point or from the common point. This is called the palmately reticulate. Palmately compound leaves are divided into different types on the basis of number of leaflets which is attached from the same point. This is the trifoliate leaves. It is the heptafoliate leaves on the basis of the number of leaflets, and this is the multifoliate leaves, and these are also the trifoliate leaves. Now come to discuss the different shapes of lamina. Actually, the shape of lamina is determined by the length and breadth ratio and the position of the broadest portion. Here you can see the different types of shapes. These are found in different angiospermous families and the different plants. So variation in shape of lamina among the angiospermous families is found. For example, linear. We will discuss from linear to the obcordate. Linear is said to be linear if leaf is very narrow and it is length many times greater than the breadth, and the breadth is almost uniform throughout the length. So usually the common example of the linear shape leaf is present in all the monocots. For example, in grasses. Oblong shape, length many times greater than the breadth but not very narrow leaves, and the breadth uniform throughout the length. In case of lanceolates, length more than twice the breadth, and the broadest portion lying below the middle of the lamina. So the type of the lamina is called lanceolate. Oblanceolate. Length twice the breadth as lanceolate, but the broadest portion lying above the middle of the lamina, right? When the broadest portion present in below the middle of the lamina, the type of or the shape of the lamina is called lanceolate, and in other case when the broadest portion is present above the middle of the lamina is called the oblanceolate. Ovate. In case of ovate shape, length of the lamina is less than twice the breadth of the lamina, and the broadest portion lying below the middle of the lamina. In this case of this shape of the lamina is called ovate shape. And obovate means Length less than twice the breadth like ovate, but the broadest portion lying above the middle of the lamina. So it is the opposite case of obovate. Elliptic. Length more than twice the breadth, narrow elliptic, or less than twice the breadth, and the broadest portion lying less than twice the breadth and the broadest portion lying in the middle of the lamina. So when the broadest portion present on the middle of the lamina, the shape is called elliptic. Orbicular. Length and breadth almost equal, and the shape of the lamina and outline of lamina almost circular in shape is called orbicular. Reniform. In case of reniform, length is smaller than the breadth and outline of the lamina somewhat kidney shaped. Heart shaped lamina is called cordate like in different ficus plants. Obcordate, reverse of heart shape, like ovate and obovate are the reverse condition, and here cordate and obcordate are reverse condition, and here lanceolate and oblanceolate are reverse condition of each other. Sagittate and hastate. Hastate shaped lamina means like a spearhead, while sagittate shaped lamina is a arrow shaped lamina. Also, you can observe the variation among leaf apex in the angiospermous plants. The first type of leaf apex is acute shape. When apex is forming an acute angle called the acute apex, and when rounded apex is present called the obtuse. Acuminate in type of acuminate abruptly narrowed apex, and in case of cordate, apex projected into long and tail-like structure. In mucrinate type of leaf apex, a small acute projection is developed in the rounded apex. In case of reduced apex with a small notch, and in case of emarginate, apex with a deeper notch. Now come to discuss the variation among angiospermous families related to the leaf base. Number 1 is called cunyate base. The narrow triangular base, and obtuse is the rounded base, and attenuate is the long narrow base. Cordate is the cordate shaped leaves having the rounded lobes on both sides of the petiole, and truncate means the base of the lamina abruptly straight, and it is flattened base forming right angle with the petiole. And auricle base means lobes with a lobed base. These are especially found in sessile leaves or partially covering the stem. Leaf margin. Leaf margin means corner or the side of the leaf, both sides of the leaves. When the leaf margin is present without any incision is called entire. This is a smooth side of leaves. Undulate means wavy margins. Serrate means margin tooth and the teeth pointing towards the apex. And crenate. Crenate means like serrate but teeth rounded, while dentate means teeth directed towards apex. Cerulate is when the serrate-like, but the teeth is very minute, and ciliate means uh, entire margin having long hairs. So students, these are the basic vegetative characteristics of the plant in this lecture. So thank you so much for being with me. Allah Hafiz.